As more of us embrace the work from home lifestyle, carving out a space where creativity meets productivity has never been more essential. I've been working from home going on 5 years now and finally created a space that is comfortable, inspiring, and allows me to be extremely productive. And in this video, I'm going to break down the whole setup and how I have it organized to hopefully help you do the same. So let's not waste any more time and dive right in. In a world where the lines between work and home blur, having a dedicated space that inspires and motivates you can make all the difference. Whether you're a content creator, entrepreneur, or just passionate about optimizing your work from home setup, this video should give you some ideas for how you can design your work from home space. So like with any proper home office, the foundation of the space typically starts with the desk. And the desk that I'm using is actually the Jarvis Sit Stand Desk by Foley, which I got back at the beginning of 2019 when I first started working from home. Originally, this desk came with, I think, a 42 by 30 inch deep bamboo desktop, but after about a year of working from home and starting to need a little more space and a little more desk space, I eventually decided to swap it for a 72 inch IKEA kitchen countertop, which many of us have seen in home office tours. And although it's just a laminate desktop, which is basically just a bunch of particle boards stacked together, it has this really cool like concrete gray finish on top that's pretty unique and just kind of blends in and works with a lot of different spaces. And switching to this larger desktop definitely gave me a lot more desktop space, which was great. But as you'll see throughout the trend of this video, I'm starting to go a little bit more minimalist. So I think I might eventually swap this back out or maybe just cut off one side of it just to make it a little bit shorter, because it does take up a lot of space in this room. But one of the nicest things about this desk is it does have wheels on the bottom of it, so I can move this around anywhere I want in my room if I want to change the location that I'm working at or just where my desk is located. And it makes it super easy to do that, just to kind of help with changing up the environment and breaking things up when I want to. Now moving on to what is actually on the desk and what actually powers my entire working setup, whether I'm at home or out traveling or working from a coffee shop, is actually the M1 Max MacBook Pro. This MacBook is a 2021 model and it's got 64 gigs of RAM and 1 terabyte of storage. And it served me extremely well over the years. This thing is fast, it's compatible, travels with me everywhere, and it's just a 13-inch version, so it's really easy to just throw it in a backpack and work from anywhere that you'd like. Moving on to the monitor that I use is an Alienware 34-inch curved monitor, and the ultra-wide monitor is amazing for having multiple windows open at once and working on different things. So rather than having a 2-monitor setup, the 34-inch curved monitor is really amazing. The colors are pretty good. I wouldn't say they're the best out there, but when it comes to just a single monitor solution, I absolutely love this thing. I've had it for many years and I really don't have any complaints about it. The one downfall of this monitor is that there is no webcam built into it. So if you do a lot of Zoom calls like I do, then you will need a webcam separate. And previously I'd actually been using my Sony ZV-1 as my webcam. Then I had like an Elgato LED panel mounted up here. And like I said in the beginning of the video, I'm trying to get a little bit more minimalist with my setup. So I actually scrapped both of those items and now I'm just using the Insta360X as my webcam, and I've honestly been pretty surprised by this thing. I will do a review on this camera in a future video, so make sure you stay subscribed to check that out when I release it. But honestly, it just makes the setup so much easier. I don't have to deal with other cables. I don't have to deal with having a bulky camera on top of my monitor, and it's just a lot more clean and simple and easy to use than having the Sony ZV-1 on there. Now the next part of the desk setup is actually what I have everything plugged into. You'll notice there's not a lot of cables running around my desk, and that's actually due to the fact that I use a CalDigit USB-C docking hub. So what that allows me to do is just plug everything into the dock, like my monitor, my speakers, my webcam, and my microphone, and then I can just plug my laptop into the dock with one single cable and everything's good to go. The other nice thing with this dock is that it does have an SD card slot on the front of it. So if you're filming content, you can simply pop your SD card out and just throw it straight into the dock. And then that goes into your computer and you can drag and drop files super easily. And the next part of the desk setup is the mic that I use, which is actually the one that I'm using right now, which is the Shure SM7B. Typically, I have it mounted on an Elgato Wave swing arm. and it's just mounted onto my desk so I can use this for Zoom calls or coaching calls or anything like that. And this mic is a major upgrade to my setup. It sounds so good, so crisp and clear, and it also doesn't pick up my dog when he's barking at my neighbors while I'm on calls. And if you know anything about the Shure SM7B, you know that it does require phantom power as well as a cloud lifter. So you might be wondering, where are those located? And I actually mounted those up on the underside of my desk so that they're out of the way. I don't have to see them. There's no cables that you can see, and everything just plugs down into there. And then the red Scarlet actually plugs into my CalDigit USB-C hub. So I just used some Velcro adhesive to mount these to the underside of the desk, and then everything plugs in under there and goes into the dock. This helps a ton in keeping my desktop clutter-free, free of cables, and just everything kind of out of sight, out of mind, and helps with that more minimalist setup that I'm going for. And the speakers that I'm using are the Harman Kardon Sound Sticks. These things are honestly super old. I think I've been using these since like 2019, but they sound super good. The bass is incredible. The audio quality is great. Although the sub speaker does sit on the ground, which can be a little bit cumbersome, the speakers themselves are super minimal. They stay out of the way and they sound really good. And then the final piece of the desk setup is actually the chair that I use, which is the Herman Miller Embody office chair. This thing, while it is expensive, is insanely comfortable. Easily the most comfortable office chair I've ever sat in. I actually sat in someone else's first, and as soon as I sat in it, I was like, this is it. I need this chair. And I found it on sale through Madison Seating for a little bit cheaper than retail, because it is, like I said, stupid expensive. But if you're looking for a really high quality office chair and you don't mind spending the money, I couldn't recommend this chair enough. Okay, so now moving on, the next part of my office setup is my storage solution, which is all key to the Husky workbench. I tried so many different storage solutions trying to find the right one for camera gear, for equipment, for cables, and something that could just kind of pack everything away. It's out of sight, it's out of mind, but it also looks good in the space. And I finally landed on this Husky workbench, and let me tell you, I don't see myself getting any other storage solution ever again for a home office. This thing can store pretty much everything that you have. Everything is out of sight and out of mind because it's in the drawers. The drawers are soft close, which is just an added bonus. It does come in a few different color options. I just opted for black, and I think it looks good in pretty much any office setup that you could do. The other nice thing about this, being a content creator and having things to constantly charge, is that there is a power strip on the side of it with different AC power outlets, as well as 2 USB type A ports. Now, just a fair warning, this thing is heavy as shit. So if you're in an upstairs office, you're definitely gonna need 2, possibly 3 people to help you get it upstairs, but it's definitely worth the money and worth the effort. I can't imagine myself having any other item to store all of my stuff in. Now, staying on the topic of storage and organization, let's move into the closet here, which is actually a huge key in this office space because I'm able to kind of throw a ton of stuff in here, organize it. And like I mentioned, I don't like seeing stuff out in the open. So being able to just close the closet doors and have it out of sight and out of mind is a huge plus. The nice thing that I threw in here that actually came from my old office setup is this IKEA storage cabinet, or just cube organizer, whatever you want to call it. But I put this in this corner, and it has my Wi-Fi and router down at the bottom. It has my Synology NAS storage unit, which if you want a video on that, I have one linked up here. You can check out how I store all my files and data, which is in that thing. And then on top, I have my printer, which even though we're in a digital age, I still use my printer a fair amount. And then all the cables and power in there just plug straight into this power strip that I have sitting on the ground. That way everything's kind of organized and in a nice spot and isn't running all over the place. So it just allows for a little bit cleaner setup. Now for the rest of the closet, there's really no rhythm or rhyme to it. It's just kind of where I store all my extra stuff, like my Pelican case, my lights, my stands, my camera backpack, as well as a bunch of other random items just kind of sitting up on the top shelf. Now the next part of this home office setup that I just recently built and made a video on, if you haven't seen my most recent video, click up here, go check this out. But I actually built this mobile YouTube video studio on wheels. It's amazing. It's what I'm using right now to film this video. So it has an Amaran 60D with an Aperture Lantern softbox on it. It has a little friction arm mounted off to the side. Then I can have my video notes on my iPhone, my camera mounted up there, as well as a monitor so I can see myself really well. This thing is amazing because I can just move it around and film in any angle that I want in this office, and all the lighting and framing stays the same. So I never have to move the camera. I never have to reposition the light. It's all just on one stand, and it makes filming these YouTube videos so much easier. So if you haven't seen that video breakdown yet, click up here, go give it a watch if you're curious about how to make a YouTube video stand for yourself. Another piece that I added to this setup is just this little living room chair that I picked up from Target, just as kind of a little corner chair that I can use to sit in. But full transparency, my dog pretty much takes it over anytime that I'm sitting here working. So I think he's pretty much claimed it as his, but it is a nice comfortable place just to sit down, take a break for a minute, or maybe read a book. So I definitely like having it in here, but like I said, I think Bridger likes having it in here a little bit more. And then the two accent lights that I have in here, the one that is behind me, and then I have one over here, are just the Govee LED floor lamps. I got them off of Amazon. Again, they'll be linked down in the description below, but they look really great in my opinion. They don't break the bank. They're around like 120 or 130 bucks. They are RGB, so you can change them to whatever color you'd like. And they also come with a remote and an app, so you can control them that way. Now moving on to the last piece, which is the accessories that I've utilized on the walls in here. On my left side here, I have a couple picture frames, one of my jersey from college, and then the other one of a bunch of kind of memorabilia and passes from when I filmed with a NASCAR team. So I have a few photos in there as well as all of my credentials. So it's just kind of a cool place, just a little bit of a memorabilia wall. And then on the other side, I have my whiteboard. I'm a big whiteboard person. I don't know about you, but that is how I get all of my ideas out. This is kind of a unique one I got off Amazon a few years ago, so I'll link it down in the description below for you if you want to check it out. But it's just a nice place to kind of keep my ideas up there, get my ideas out, and then also kind of write down, to-do lists and stuff like that so that you don't forget about those items. Now moving on to the one wall that brings this whole space together. This is a new wood slat wall that I just recently installed. This wall was just completely blank and bare and boring, and I had no idea what I wanted to put on it. But I reached out to my friends at Wood Veneer Hub, and they actually sent me these wall panels. And after getting these wall panels put up, it completely transformed the space. They were super easy to install. I just screwed them in with some drywall screws, and they have a ton of different color options to choose from. So if you have kind of a blank, boring wall in your home office, or if you're looking for something creative to do in your content studio, these wall panels from Wood Veneer Hub are absolutely amazing. And I have a discount link down in the description below that they provided me with. So if you're interested, you can go down and check that out. So that wraps up this home office tour. I hope you got some value of it and got some different ideas that you could use in your space. Like I mentioned, everything I talked about is going to be down in the description below for you. And if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and hit subscribe so you can check out all my future content as well. But until then, we'll see you in the next one. Peace.